Good morning. Welcome to Coffe Convo Houston. Thank you for joining us this Sunday. I like that t-shirt, Chosen. We got Chosen and FD Sparkman with us today. And today's topic is going to be how to build trust. Before we get into that, we're going to have a recap on last week's conversation of community. And before we really start, we want to acknowledge our top fan. Thank you for being the top fan of Coffe Convo Houston. We appreciate you joining us on being part of our topic. Now, last week's conversation, community, the difference between then and now. Can we get a recap, Chosen?
Recap, man. First and foremost, y'all, good morning. How y'all doing? So last week, if you did not tune in, what we talked about was the difference between it takes a village, how we build communities, and the difference between back then and now. So basically, one of the key points that we talked about, I liked the part where Frederick was talking about basically how it was easy to tear down than it is to create. Nowadays, you know how a lot of people, they mind their own business and don't say anything, and you know, that right there is one key thing that doesn't help. You know, that's one way that you can help tear down your community, and and not help build it up, because you know, if you don't say anything about something wrong, it'll continue. That's one of the differences between now and then. Back then, if you wasn't supposed to have company at your crib when you was in school and you did, Miss Jones next door snitched. And you was at the crib wondering how your mama and your pops knew you had company, you know what I'm saying, when they got home. So, you know, it was like one of them. Nowadays, you know, you can have during the parties, and like, unless you got the ring or something like that, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, but we were really just talking about, you know, how it was and the importance from building communities. We went from talking about, you know, your subdivision communities, how, you know, neighborhood communities, and even talked about like the nation as a whole. You know, how you don't have to wait on somebody to put something in act for you to build your community. One example was you know, we got these presidents and we have like a governor, and you got your mayor in your city. You don't have to wait on them to make your community better. You know what I'm saying? So we talked about that, and I, you know, said like, hey, maybe you got one of those subdivisions where there's where they have like children in your subdivision. They get out of school, and because the parents work, they really can't get a hold to a lot of extracurricular activities. Or maybe they really couldn't get can't get to tutoring for their homework or whatever. So you didn't really need anybody in that community to tell you, hey man, you know, let's get together, since we off working, some of these parents, so let's get together, try to do something for the youth in our neighborhood, maybe create like a way for them to have like after school activities, maybe give them some exercise, maybe have some tutoring or something like that. You don't need elected officials to tell you how to build your community. So we talked about how that was another one of the differences between then and now. So that's pretty much your recap.
Then and now. And most importantly, we talked about how fear was the issue as to why communities were not like they were then. And with that brought us today's topic on how to build trust. So we're going to dive on into, we're going to start out with trust issues, you know, and we're going to talk about not only in you know, people that you live next door to, but people that you're close to, and basically people, period, you know, having trust issues. So FD, run with that trust issues for us.
Well, you got to think of it like when you go to your job and you have orientation, you don't know these people. I mean, you went through what you went through to get the job and everything you had to do to interview. So everybody knows who you are as far as your name. They know who you are as far as some of the things that you say you have accomplished. but nobody really knows how you're going to behave on that job or when you're dealing with them. So it's basically the same thing. When you go to a new job, they're sitting there looking at you like you don't know anything, and it's up to you to prove what you know, what you don't know, to show forth your strengths and your weaknesses at the same time. And will you be one of those people that'll cry out for help if you need help? The whole point of, I would say, going through all of that at your job is so that they leave you alone and let you do your job. It's the same thing with meeting and knowing people. They leave you alone and let you be you. Well, when they don't know you, they try to throw in their thoughts and all these other things onto you, try to get you to act like them until you put your foot down and say yes to this or no to that. So the whole point is building trust is the same no matter where you go. You have to be known for your word. You have to be known for doing what you say you're going to do. And you have to be one of those people that can be trusted to go and do the right thing when nobody's watching you.
That sounds like your favorite. Like
Okay.
Oh man.
Chosen.
Trust
issues. Relationship version.
Trust issues can pretty much stem from, they can pretty much stem through almost anything. Trust issues can be developed through childhood, interacting with certain adults, interacting with certain children. Like you could be, you could think somebody, we've all been through this. You could think somebody your friend, you know what I'm saying, and they could be playing little jokes on you and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you straight up off the bat from my own experience. You know what I'm saying, coming up and as a youth, not like everybody else. Dancing to my own beat, doing my own thing, and people treating me a lot different than what they would other people. Playing jokes just because I wouldn't like everybody else. Hey, come hang out with us, and then you hang out with them because you think they nice, and then they make you the butt end of a joke. So you have that happen to you a lot. You can bring it to where you can say stuff like, "These humans, I don't like people," and y'all heard me say that a lot. That can happen.
Yeah,
But
been
I
there,
think
done
like
that.
the biggest trust issues come from broken promises from adults when you're a child. I think the biggest issues come from broken promises that happen from adults. Like trust issues can like if you're a child and your parents split up and you might have a father or you might have a mother. Oh, I'm coming to get you this weekend, and they never show. Or and
Yep, I know that one.
Yeah, so those things that happen, or you expect something really good to happen, and somehow it just finds a way to fall through. It finds a way to never happen. So you just be like, you know what? Why even try? So trust issues are really big, and it's really hard to build trust. I'm not gonna say it's really hard, but it's harder than usual to build trust with people that have gone through that trauma, gone through that emotional trauma.
Well, that's the funny part. That emotional trauma.
Interesting. Okay, so you mentioned.
Everybody's been through that emotional
You said what now,
trauma. I don't
Frederick?
think there's nobody in this world that hasn't been through that. I mean, the biggest thing is, like you said, and like I was saying before, if you're known for keeping your word and you do what you say, people will trust you. If you're known for breaking your word and not doing what you say, people will not trust you.
Now, what about the false sense of security where trust is concerned? Because people will set you up to think you can trust them, just to cover their behind. What about that?
Well, a lot of those
the friendly
people,
betray.
with me back in the day, I was known for, using my hands a little bit. And I would find that most of the people, once I established, I would say, dominance, then they would befriend me to, I guess, learn my moves or whatever. And then later on, 2 years later, oh, now I can beat you. Now I can fight you. People befriend you because it's like with that one scripture in one of the hidden books, the 12 Patriarchs. It says that whoever they cannot overcome through strength, they will overcome
Okay.
through craft. And that's what you have a lot of
Okay.
these days. If they can't overcome you mentally, or if they can't overcome you financially or whatever, then they will use craft.
Okay. So since we're on trust issues and what did you call it? The friendly betrayal. How do we break that cycle? How do we break that cycle? The trust issues.
Cut slings.
The most favorite topic.
How does that help you? How does
Easy.
cutting
I know that
slings
I can
help
trust the
you
people that I
build
didn't cut
trust?
slings on. If you think about it, everybody goes through their
Wow.
life, and there's this great big
Okay.
crowd of people. So why is it that when you met thousands of people, you got 4 people you call?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my circle is small.
You didn't make that circle. Well, you
My
actually made
circle
that
is
circle small
small.
because you had to get rid of some people. You got to think. It's like the Marines say, the few
I
good
did.
ones. You want to hold on to the few good ones, get rid of the riffraff. Well, there's a lot more riffraff than there are the few good ones.
Hey, before y'all carry on, I want to say something. Hey, no, actually, it's this right here.
I was just
Because
about
I
to
know
say
there's
that.
going
Go
to be
ahead.
a recap. It's going to be up. This is going to be uploaded on their YouTube channel. But the difference is, this is one of them topics that you really gonna look back and be like, dang, I should have been in there dropping comments. So everybody that's in here right now, I want y'all to do a favor for you, boy. How about y'all go down there and hit that little share button on your right down there on the left-hand corner.
I thought you were about to do something else because I know we started the show out acknowledging our top fan, Melissa Ramon. She wasn't in here at that time, so we're going to go ahead and acknowledge her now.
You took the
Thank
words out
you
of my
for
mouth,
being a
Bestie,
top
but it's
fan.
cool
Go
because you
ahead,
can do
Chosen.
that because you're my best friend and stuff like that. So so I just want to tell y'all, whoever's in this room right now, y'all do us the honor of hitting that share button, man. Share that, tell your friends and all that. And y'all are in the conversation and they ain't, you know what I'm saying? So maybe next time they'll be like, hey, I need to tune in to this Coffe Convo Houston and be a part of that conversation. But yes, I definitely want to send a big shout out to Melissa Ramon. She be here every Sunday. She be listening, and she hit up with feedback. Man, very very active person, very active person in the community here, and a well deserved top fan.
Yes.
Well deserved, yeah. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Now man,
we're gonna have to figure out what to do for Melissa.
Mm-hmm.
She's our first top fan. We're gonna have to figure out what to do for her. Again, thank you. We appreciate you. Okay, so back to the topic. Now we're going to talk about trusting people versus circumstances.
Trusting people versus circumstances.
Who wants to address that one?
Okay.
Versus
I just need a little bit more.
The circumstances. Because we have issues with trusting people. You only trust what you see,
so I want to kind of go
what
back.
you hear
I
before you actually trust the person.
I want to try to touch on more of trusting people because like Frederick already reiterated, we already talked about trust issues. Everybody goes through trust issues, right? So there's two types. I believe that there's two types of psyche when you're dealing with that. So when you go through the trust issues, there's a negative side, and then there's a positive side that helps craft or helps shape your mindset on how you're gonna deal with people. So for instance, let's say you're kind of say when you're older, you stay hopeful and optimistic, and the people around you, you hope that they change, and it's like, and so you look at the fact that oh, they did this, but not everybody's the same. So you can also, so that can be bad because you can develop a sense of being naive because you'll be trusting, you'll be a Goku. and then
Okay.
I'll explain that in a minute for those that don't know. And so, or you can be to where, like I don't trust these humans and let you down every time, and like so going through those trust issues in the maturity, it depends on how mature you are to recognize I'm gonna learn from these behaviors. So if I can sit down long enough and learn from these behaviors and be like, okay, these are the signs of untrustworthy people, versus everybody isn't like that. So when the Goku reference is you have an enemy of the planet, but you believe that everybody can change, so you don't get rid of the threat. So you don't get rid of it. So it's like, this is a threat. Hey, if you let this joker live, then what's stopping them from destroying the planet? Or what's stopping them from destroying your world? So you can be forgiven. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you have to learn how to navigate your forgiveness. You have to know what that forgiveness is. You know what I mean? So as far as like the Goku reference, Frederick, you'll know what I'm talking about. Goku's greatest oppressor was Frieza. Frieza was the one that destroyed his whole planet, his whole people. And yet, when they fought, he let him live over and over and over again. It was like, I'm just gonna let you live. I'm you know, that's a sort of forgiveness. But the top part about that is hey, when we go back to what Frederick said, Frederick was like, you know, if they can't beat you with repeat that what you said, Frederick, because you said it best, and I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah,
with
well, if they
strength,
can't
didn't you say
overcome
with
you
strength? So they do it with
they'll use
craftiness.
craft.
Okay. So another part of that, the whole Frieza Goku relationship thing is Frieza knows that I don't stand a chance against Goku with Braun. But every chance I get, I'll do what I can to try to figure out another way to get to where he is. So the bad part about it is, you know, sometimes we can be forgiving and give chance after chance after chance. And if we are not stronger than those we forgive, they can get the best of us eventually carry out their agenda. Or if they keep on or they keep coming against you and you can put them back in their place, depending on their resolve, they might never get tired. And they look at the fact that, hey, maybe one day, and there you have it. Or you can be to the point to where it's like, you know what? Like Frederick say, cut them swings. After you done this, it's it. That's it. I don't need no more chances. After you showed me who you were, now I know where to put you. Okay, I don't want you to do bad. I don't want you just can't eat at my table. You are no longer one of the knights of the round. Some people are like that, and some people are like, hey, you know, you can't whoop me. I can give you chance after chance. I'm doing you a favor by letting you breathe. You only breathe because I allow it. That type
Okay.
Crazy as that sounds, that's true. Because you can only show mercy to someone that you have power over.
Mm-hmm. So I had to take you know, with that. So having that trust, you know, it just depends on how you deal with those traumas, because everybody has those traumas. And, you know, that's pretty much my, I just want to tackle that point because that was really interesting. So now I guess, you know,
Trauma and trigger.
So now we can go to the circumstance, you know, so.
Well, you got to think.
Circumstances, Frederick.
When you give your word to somebody, the average person is usually in that I'm so positive mode. Yeah, I'm going to do it on this day. Well, I've learned from experience, because of circumstances which do change on a daily basis, moment by moment, minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day. So I will always say, I will do this if nothing stops me or if nothing prevents me, because I know that things can happen. Let's say that I borrowed $10 from you.
That makes sense.
And I tell you, I'm gonna pay you Friday. Well, something happens. Well, no, $10 is too small. Let's make that 200. And let's say
you say that's too small. There's some people that can't pay that $10 back.
That's true. But I'll circle back to that. But let's go with the 200. So something happens. This bill popped up I didn't know about or whatever. I contact you. I let you know what happened. I tell you, instead of doing nothing, I give you what I have. So I only got 130 of that 200. So I'm gonna give you the 130, tell you why I couldn't keep my word. And most people are gonna be cool with it because I'm making an effort to keep my word, even though my circumstances have made it impossible for me to keep my word.
Okay, that's understandable. What do you have to say about that,
Oh
Chosen?
man, circumstances. That's another way. I'm trying to remember. It was an example I was going to use that was at the tip of my tongue when my train car left the station. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could circle back.
Do it all the
Now
time for that.
You know, we tend to do that.
While Chosen is remembering, let me hit the $10.
What now?
Okay, now I have one person that came to me sometimes when you lend out money and it's a small amount, I do it as a test because the way I see it, if it only costs me $10 to get rid of you, that's a good investment. So
Stop.
It's the truth.
Okay, so
if it only $10 to get rid of you, go for it, Chosen.
All right, so I of course like that tactic. Circumstance, you can use that to your advantage if you are smart, and and if you're not, then you just won't. I don't think the level of education or the level of the lesson that you get is going to be it's not that it's not going to be as great as if you plan it. So like he said with the $10, you look at certain people that want to certain people that that want to be around you, and you have to figure out if they're trustworthy. You put them through those little trials to see if they are trustworthy and see how they're gonna act in certain situations, or like you said, circumstances. So we'll go with one thing that as you humans like to indulge in. We'll go with relationships. In relationship, when a man is interested in a woman or vice versa, you on trial. That's pretty much what it is. It's almost like a job, an application. You feel like the job application, but it's supposed to mostly be like a verbal application. And it's like, hey, I'm trying to see if we get this vibe. I'm trying to see if you're gonna lie about this little stuff, because if you lying about this little stuff, then this great big stuff is gonna be like that for you to lie about, because you're interested in saving your own skin. And then one thing about it is, and when I mean relationships, I mean I'll split this up. I'm talking about like 60% of romantic relationships and 40% of business relationships. I'm gonna talk about. I'm splitting those two up so y'all know what I'm talking about. So you trying to be involved with somebody. You have to sift through that attraction. So whenever you attracted to somebody, depending on your maturity, I'm gonna go here again. Depending on your maturity, it's like how many of these. You remember taking a test, and somewhere down in the test you might have like 25 questions. 5 of those questions are freebies, and like if you get those questions wrong, they won't count against you. You remember that? Y'all don't remember taking a test like that? So depending on the type of person that you want to interact with, or that you might feel like it's good, that you really feel like this attraction is real good, you might give them that test where they got like maybe 5 questions that if they get wrong, they don't know which one it is. Okay, you get a pass. Some of us sit up there and might have like, we give them maybe 1 too many of them questions, and at the end they come back and they bite you. And in some instances you could be to where you just be like, if you don't get all these questions right, then we just might do something else. So along with circumstance, it just really boils down to how naive you are. So if you're gonna be, go ahead.
I would say it a little
Go
different
ahead.
because you got to remember, sometimes you get circumstances where you are powerless to keep your word. But the deal is, I'm going to look and see how hard you try to respond to that circumstance. How far are you willing to go to try to keep your word to me, regardless of what is happening?
Thank you. That's really what I wanted to say. I was just trying to condense it into a word, but you explained it. It's, you know, like I said, it's like you being like, you know, some people's level of hoping that you're trustworthy is a little higher than others. You know what I'm saying? So you really are trying, and you know, we see that, then that can put you in a good standing. It's almost like building.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
That can go a long way when you're really trying. That can go a long way. Okay, so we're going to attack the spiritual aspect of this now. Because there was a episode that we had, Frederick, where you said that there was a scripture that says you couldn't trust yourself. So why would you trust someone else? Now, trust is a big thing in relationships, period, in our daily lives. Now, I want to talk about trusting God versus man, because that's not always easy. And we are aware of this. That's not always
Well, the
easy.
whole
So,
thing
Frederick,
about
go ahead
trusting
and
the
address
Most High
that.
is the Most High give you limited information, limited knowing of what's going to happen, and you're supposed to move out by faith. Well, faith is that positivity that everybody likes to bring up. Okay, I know this is going to end well, but you don't know how it's going to end well. Now, the problem with that is that when the Most High does it, it's always the bad comes before the good. And you have to go through the bad in order to obtain the good.
Okay.
But it is no different than anything else that we do out here in the world. You lose your job, and then you go out, you pray for something better. You get that something better. When you first get it, it seems like it sucks and like God just betrayed you and didn't do anything that he promised you. But you have to go back and you have to look at the other scripture. There is nothing that the Most High gives you that you don't have to work for. So he will give you an answer in seed form. It has the potential, the possibility to become everything you want, but there are certain steps you have to take to make it become what you want it to be. It's no different than getting a plant and you have to nurture that plant. You got to talk to that plant. You got to water that plant. You got to pay attention, get it out of the sun if it's getting too much sun. You have to do all of these things and take all of these steps to make sure that your seed becomes the fruit. So it's no different when you're serving the Most High. Everything about being blessed is positioning yourself so that you can be blessed. It's like when you first get on a job and you want to be a supervisor, you have to pass these tests over here. They have to see how you lead. They have to see how you respond when you're left to your own devices. Do I need to watch you? All of these things come together into a cohesive whole that manifests in the time of need, or in some cases, after you have earned what it is you have prayed for. Most people pray for stuff. They never do anything to earn it. They never do anything to be worthy of that blessing. And when they don't get it, they assume that God told them no, whereas there is nothing you get from the Most High that you don't have to put work in.
Yeah, man, he pretty much summed it up.
What do you have to say, Chosen?
He did. I mean, like he said pretty much everything that I would have said. I think we had one podcast. We talked about where you know when you get the solution, you ask for the solution, but you're not happy with the solution, so you do nothing. But it was usually the first response from the Most High is the one you really have to do, and that response comes like that. You start asking yourself, okay, Lord help me, I need this bill due by in 2 weeks, and it's $1,500. And then the answer comes, the solution is this. Okay, You know that you
But
know
when
that
you don't
day that
like
you
the
not gonna
solution,
go
you
to
try
work.
to
How
find
about you
your
go to
own.
work? That time that you usually go to work early. That right
Yeah.
there, that solution pops into your head, and it's spoken to you as clearly as I'm speaking to you right now. But then whenever it seems like it's too much work, you try to find something else other than that. But that solution was the most potent solution. You don't take the most potent solution. Now, thing about saying my take on the whole when we say it's harder to trust God versus man, I think that's how you worded it. Okay. So once again, I gotta go with level of maturity and faith.
Cool.
You start looking at this, and this is what got me. You start looking at your parents. The parents are like the blueprint. They were given to you for like what God is supposed to show you. So
Okay.
when you were a child and your mother or your father said, this is, they set that structure, you're going to eat this time and all that. You don't worry about none of that. You go to school, you come back home, you got something to eat. You don't worry about
Right.
stuff like that. Then there are certain things that you ask about, hey, how does this work? How does that go on about? And it's you asking about stuff sometimes that you really don't, you can know what it is, but at that time, it's like, you ain't even got to worry about that. So I believe the Most High shows you through the parents that are taking charge over you, how you should trust the Most High. Because if the Most High would tell you, like, if I made these parents, that's the one thing I look at. I made that possible. So what worked for me was about trusting God. I learned how my parents move, and your parents are limited. Like they limited in what they can do, because sometimes your parents might not be able to keep their word, and say, okay, I know we said we were going to the movies, but something might have happened with a movie theater got shut down, and at that time you don't understand. You want to go to the movies. You don't understand the movie theater being shut down. So whenever you faced with that, you kind of feel let down. See, the Most High don't work like that. We all know that the Most High says something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. And you asking for something,
Okay.
you ask the Most High for something, it's gonna happen. You just have to learn that it's not gonna be on your time, it's gonna be on the time of the Most High. So if you can look at what the blueprint of your parents and how that is, and know that the Most High is greater than any word that man can say, the only thing you need to learn how to implement is patience and have learning to be like, okay, this is what I need to do until my change comes. Like, okay, let me focus on, let me focus on what it is extra that I need to do, and let me work on this solution. Because it's easy for me to trust you because I look around at everything that does not change. You know what I'm saying? So you look around at everything that doesn't change, then to me, that makes it just that much simpler to trust the Most High. It's like my dad used to always tell me, man.
Okay. So I think there was a statement that Frederick was making where Melissa responded that Romans 8:28 really sums that statement up.
Now,
Frederick, do you know that scripture off the top of your
and I
head?
don't recommend it. You always go back and check, because I was misquoting this one scripture for years, but it only applied to me. So you have to go back to the original scripture. Sometimes you have to look at, sometimes you have to look at when you misquote a scripture, there's always a reason that you misquoted that scripture.
Yeah.
Now, if you misquoted that scripture and it was a blessing, it was specifically for you, and you just couldn't understand it at the time, because I kept going back and back and back and back, and I would realize that the misquoting was God speaking to me, about me, through me.
You know, I did that with Philippians 4:19, and that is my favorite scripture. And when you saying that, the way that it was playing to me, that's how I learned. It was him talking to me about me. Basically, I don't say the scripture the way it's written.
Yes.
I say it the way it's meant for me. You know what I'm saying? It's meant for me to stand on, so I say it personally. I don't say it the way it's written. But let's see. Romans, she said Romans 8:28. I'm gonna look in so we can put it
Yeah, because
out
I'm
here
not
as
at
to
my
what it
computer, so I
is.
can't just go to scripture like that.
Right.
So I can know.
Now, you got the warfare scriptures I use by heart. For the
Hey,
good
and
of
we
those
know
that
that
love him.
all things work.
Work together for the good of those that love him. My bad.
Okay. There. That we talked about misquoting. All right, so we have 23 minutes. So we're going to use some of this time to talk about steps on how to build trust. Not we're going to eliminate that cut and slings, Frederick. You are so big on cut and
I'm
slings.
really big on
so
building
let's tell
trust,
our audience.
but it's like Susan said. I mean, I've been a Goku for so long, I had to step back and step some Vegeta up in there.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta put some Vegeta. You gotta put some Vegeta in there, man. Once you show me your true colors, we gotta do something different.
Yeah. If I know.
Okay. So steps on how
to build
trust.
I'll go first on building.
Who wants to go first?
Steps on building trust.
All right.
First, like I said, I gotta go from you have to pay attention to your circumstances, your traumas. What led you to have your trust issues in the first place? Everybody got trust issues. It's just some are more severe than others. So you have to go to what is the one thing that I will not allow? What is the one thing I won't tolerate? Everybody don't know, huh? Standards and boundaries.
Yes.
So you can't go against those standards and boundaries. We did a show on that. And we did a show on that. So you can't go against
that.
We
did.
Now I gotta watch how you move. How can I trust your energy? You know what I mean? Like when I'm talking to you, can I trust your energy? I'm trying to pick out like your euphemisms. And then my whole thing is if you can talk to me with sincerity. No one likes a liar. So it's like to build trust with me, man. Like, no one likes a liar. If you build one thing to build trust, say keep your word. Hey, if we'll go somewhere or we'll do something, and on this day we'll do this, and like after too many times with the invite, it depends on the person. It's like, okay, well maybe something happened, or then that's like one of those questions that you might get wrong, but it don't count against you because they will give you the benefit of the doubt. Some people don't do that, but I think like I'll just say from personal experience for me, like to build trust with me, I'm gonna say me because I'm not the only person that thinks like me. It's only one me, but there's a lot of people that think like me. So to build trust with me is just be sincere. Even if you wind up going back on your word, like just to be apologetic about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't like I respect people feeling like, okay, I don't owe you no explanation. I respect that, but at the same time, that goes against you. That's a question that's wrong. Because at any time something happens, that's a question that you will automatically get wrong with me. Because at any time down that course of that relationship of building that trust, you can do something and you'll feel guilty about it because you did something against me. And if I ask about it, you be like, you can take that whole stance that I don't owe you no explanation and this and this and that. So to me, it'll be like, well, I can't blame you for who you are in your decision, but that will ding your brownie points with me because I feel like once you start getting apprehensive or you do something that challenges your character, I don't need to tell you about that, And I'm like, I like it when I think the strongest relationships that I have are even when people are brutally honest with me. You know what I mean? Like, okay, for instance, I don't care and I'm not saying it's mean to be mean, but if I love you, I really don't care about your feelings. Because I'm one
hard love.
of the types of people. Yeah, I really don't care about your feelings. And the reason why I say that is you know, you go to the dentist, you got to get a root canal. The dentist ain't caring about your feelings. Like, okay, here, hold the nurse's hand while I stick this 9-inch needle in your jaw, and this right here, it gonna hurt, but you need it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if I'm telling you something that's not good, it's me taking the stance of, I would rather tell you a hurtful truth or ugly truth than tell you a beautiful lie. That's still something that I ain't gonna lie. That's still something that yeah, I'd rather tell you a hurtful truth than tell you a
I'd rather
comfortable
tell
lie.
you a hurtful
And
truth than tell
I still have struggles with it, but I would much rather you not like me much rather not like me for sticking you with the needle, but then when you've recovered, you be like, you were the one that made me well, versus saying, hey, you don't need this, and oh, you're good, and I know your tooth all screwed up, and then a year later you come back and your stuff all jacked up, and then you be like, well, why did you tell me I was good? And now I got this infection, and now I got this going on, and I got to get this done and this done, and you made me feel like I was all right. You know what I'm saying? And then that right there is somewhere, that's how you begin to hate people, because people will sit up here and lie in your face and tell you something because they either trying to keep the peace, because people do that. They say they keep the peace, or fake it till they make it, or that if I genuinely love you, I've been practicing, and if I genuinely love you, I'm gonna let you know, hey, if we whether it's a business relationship, romantic relationship, or just a friendship, one of the 5 ships, you know, it might be hard. It might be hard for me to tell you some things, but at the end of the day, I'm like, man, what do I want? Would I rather you respect me, and would I rather you respect me or hate me? And we all know that respect.
So we have a comment here. Leroy says that's his issue. He believes that part of building trust is to do what you say you are going to do. Okay. Sometimes it is.
Yeah, that's what I
now,
wanted to
even
address.
with that, people are going to need help. Now, you can either help.
Well, the
Go
deal
ahead and
is,
address that, Frederick.
when we're dealing with people, we have to remember they're just as flawed as we are. And it's like Chosen said, it's based on the level of maturity of the trustor, not the trustee, the trustor. So you have to have the ability to look at their circumstances and their situation. And if they're making, like he said, if you love me, you're going to try to show me. And what the average person will do when everything is going wrong, man, I tried this, and they're despondent, and they really feel like, you know, man, I let you down, I didn't come through, But the issue is that they even feel that remorse, that they even consider it, because they're thinking more of you and how you are looking at them. And they're so busy. The person that's down on themselves the most is the person that cares the most. So if they don't care, if they let you down, then you pretty much know where you stand. But if they're sitting there and they're broken down about it and everything, then you have to deal with the fact that you can't always control your circumstances or everything else. Now, this is coming from the maturity of the trustor. So you have to be able to deal with your unrealistic expectations versus the reality of what's actually happening, what's actually going on. You have to be able to adapt to whatever's happening with this person. Are they still trying to push towards keeping their word, even though this portion has failed? It's like I said, I don't have the whole 200, but I have 130. Am I making an effort, even though I failed to keep my word? Am I making an effort to make things right by you, even though everything went wrong for me?
Yeah, for some people, everything is just black and white, and that becomes an issue.
You know what? You already know.
So, Chosen, what do you have? It's unrealistic expectations. I was just repeating what he was saying. Yes, that is unrealistic expectations.
A lot of this stuff has to do with a lot of this stuff nowadays has to do with these Facebook philosophers and these Instagram intellects. Because, okay, you knew I was gonna go there. A lot of that has to do. Okay, so how many posts have you seen where it was like, if you cross me, or now it's I think one of my favorites is this. My cutoff game is so strong because chances are you handed me the scissors. Or yeah, like that, or I don't want to see you. You said, so if you cross me, I don't want to see you do bad. I want you to eat. Just can't eat at my table. And all that, you know, some of that stuff right there, it'll give you some strength, but depending on the type of person that you are, it can, you know, help groom you into being an a-hole. Like me, I know I'm really nice. And RE,
Yeah.
you know, some of the things I say, you have to correct me. You be like, that ain't you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't you. So when I wanna, I be like, man, look, I gotta start showing this world a little more of my Vegeta side. You'll come up in here, that ain't you. And so it'd be like, but you have to do, but you know, you have to learn how to find balance. And that's like one thing. And I'll say
That's what I was gonna say.
For personal reasons, that's when you gotta kind of do like a self-assessment of yourself and what it is that you learn. Hey, I'm not gonna allow this. You know what? I'm not gonna let you work on my mouth unless you got this topical or this anesthetic because that needle hurts too doggone much. So you're gonna have to give me some type of, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I look at that, you know, you get a lot of that stuff that you hear from the outside that'll tell you that'll help feed either your negative response to how you deal with trust issues, and you got stuff that'll help feed your positive response on how you trust it. Because if you're not somebody that's used to cutting people off or telling people what it is that they need to hear or how they gonna treat you, it can come out wrong, or it can come off the way you'll know, because after you responded, your spirit should get convicted. Your spirit should get convicted. Like, hey, you know what, you handled that wrong. And then, you know, some people try to go back and rectify it. Some people will just leave it the way it is. You know, to me, that's pride too. Pride can be a real big hindering factor when you talk about trust.
Sometimes that's fear, Chosen.
What's up?
Yeah.
You said sometimes what?
That is true.
Sometimes that's fear. Sometimes people believe they messed it up so bad they don't know what to do. And one of the greatest things my cousin told me was that was yesterday. So we got to be those people that can walk into tomorrow letting go of yesterday. Because if you're holding on to yesterday, nobody can see the future.
Oh, that's very interesting. We're gonna have to do a show on letting go.
I like that.
Now I'll tell you another thing. Like Chosen said, I'm one of those friends that will punch you in the jaw to dislodge a rotten tooth.
If I have no other means, and it means that rotten tooth gonna kill you, you gotta take this left hook. You know what I'm saying? You gonna have to take that. Hey, you hurt, but I saved your life.
I wouldn't hurt anyone that I love, but I will not allow them to destroy themselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what else can be done to help build trust? Oh, no, we got
one more thing. Go ahead.
We can bullet points, and let's
do that. You just said it already. No, but no, you just said it already. You asked a question. That's how you build trust. Concern, caring, ask questions, mean it, be sincere when you ask. You can't help somebody unless you know what's wrong.
This is true. You really can. You can say repeatedly, you know, tell them things that help benefit them or benefit you or whatnot. But unless you get delve deep into what's really what they really need help with, you can't help.
I always talk about too.
And
concern. Having
what is that?
The hard conversations. You gotta have them hard conversations. Any relationship, if you stay on the honeymoon side, knowing that there's other the stuff that you have these questions in the back of your mind. I mean, when I say the honeymoon side, it's like everybody likes to have new acquaintances. Everybody likes to have new friends. Everybody likes, you love the gifts, you love the attention, you love the positive conversation. But on the flip side, you know, okay, everything ain't perfect. Okay, let me ask about this. Right, let me ask about this. And let me ask about this. And that should be reciprocated. Okay, I need to ask you about this because I noticed this. Things that you notice and you don't bring up because you like, I don't want to ruin what's going on. It's beautiful. Well, it could be even more beautiful once you had that hard conversation.
Be stronger.
It can, thank you. It can be stronger.
Let me ask this. What about people that have overcame different things and look at others to feel as though they have the same strength to overcome? I think this is where you would say is unrealistic expectations. But
come on now, that goes against everything that's in the Bible.
What would you say?
Jesus told us, you will do greater things than me, and I have overcome the world. So you can't, if he could do it, and I know everybody looks at him, well, I'm not Jesus. Well, in one aspect or another, we have all overcome the world.
Heard that.
In one way.
I was
trying to get there.
To the point of helping others. Okay.
The issue is, you have to find that one thing that motivates that person, that makes them want to fight. You can't overcome anything if you think you've already lost.
Good point. Very good point. Very good point. So you have to pretty much
sometimes you gotta
them
pick
to
them
hope,
up when they pick themselves up. Sometimes you gotta drag your friend kicking and screaming into where they need to be, even though they don't want to go because they're afraid of what might happen. But they will always remember that you did not leave them on their own. When you look at everything in this world that people hate the most, that nobody will ever say, I didn't have to do it alone. That's what they remember. That's what they love. That's what they cherish.
You ask for a bullet point, you got a buckshot.
I love it. I love it. Okay, but that is the biggest thing to building trust. That is the biggest thing. Being there, helping, asking questions, finding out that dirty stuff that's underneath.
What was the promise I always made?
Do what now? That you will always.
Okay, I didn't say want me.
You will always be here when I need you.
Have I failed?
That you will always be here when I need you. Nope. You have not. Even if I don't call you, you know I need you.
My name, there I am in the midst. It be church every Sunday. You gonna get some church. It might not be in a sanctuary, a cathedral, or a tabernacle. Yeah, you gonna get some church. This is church.
Hey.
All right. So the biggest thing.
I was just gonna say.
The biggest takeaway here.
Even if I didn't know why I called you, I was being there. I was led to be there.
Yep. This is true. There are, like I said, if I don't call you and tell you what's going on, you call me on your own. What's up, little sis? And you are always there when I need you. All right. Now with that I'm gonna say that's the biggest thing on building trust. Being there, asking questions. When they want to keep it on.
All I'm gonna tell you, man.
All right. Anything y'all want to say before we wrap it up?
I'm just gonna tell y'all, man. Look, hey, y'all take heed to these words and enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. That's it. That's all I got. Can't see.
Hey,
I'm a nerd. I don't watch
it. Y'all rooting for?
I don't really watch it either, but I like it when the teams put the work in and come together. Yeah, Kansas City. Buccaneers is like the underdog. I usually root for the underdog, but you know, it is what it is. I'm like, all right, whoever. But Kansas City, I like to see them actually win it twice.
All right. Enjoy y'all Sunday. Thank you for joining in Convo